Hello, 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 Facebook family. How are you this March the 27th? Um, welcome to Bridging Through Conversations, closing the gap for all conversations that need to be had during this time in this world that we're living in. We need to have a lot of conversations. Okay, I want to do a little disclaimer here before we get started for all, so you'll know that you can jump in on this conversation. All opinions are welcome. We welcome everything and anything that you have to say, because it's all of our opinions. We all have opinions on all situations in life. So just come on in and add your opinion on this. But our disclaimer is this platform discusses any and all information that is known to the public and that are opinions of the host and guests. We use sources that are unconventional and conventional. Bridging Through Conversations is in no way to be offensive to any persons, groups, or organizations. It creates open conversations needed to close gaps in topics others may not be willing to discuss. The information is alleged to others, but are our truths to having open conversations. All righty. So, hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. How are you? How are you? How are you? This is Diane Spirit Love, and I am so delighted to be here with you this day in March. It's almost the end of this month. This year is just moving on by, guys. You need to enjoy your life while you're here and just have a good time with it. Again, my name is Diane Spirit Love, and I love you, and there's nothing that you could do about it but love me back. And we're going to have an awesome talk today. Laugh out loud, family and acceptance. All right, Tasha?
Hey, everybody. Happy Monday to you. I'm glad everybody is doing well. I'm just speaking it by faith. So, this is your girl. This is Tasha, aka TC Knows. No, I do not know everything, but I love sharing with you what I do know. I am so excited about this topic because sometimes I feel like I don't express myself enough when I need to. It's like when I need to be quiet, I don't be quiet. And when I need to speak up, I be quiet. So, I'm just still learning that along my journey. And tonight's
Tasha.
topic is going to be good because, like Spirit Love said, this is definitely a conversation that needs to be had. So I'm excited to just delve into it. What about you, Spirit Love?
I'm excited about it. Family and acceptance. And we all have family and we all have things going on, within our family, that some we like, some we don't like, some we love, some we just like. It's all a it's all a combination of
Yeah.
things that we do, with our family and stuff. But with me, I love my family. I love my family to the bone, regardless of what they do. I still love them. I was taking in my church. I'm doing this evaluation of some of the leaders in the church, and one of my things, my very top gift was compassion towards people, right? And I kind of figured that, because regardless of what my family do, I am still going to support them, because why? They're my family, their blood. And we're going to support them. But I often hear a lot of people, when they talk about their family, about what they do, they say, "Oh, they on my list. I don't even talk to them anymore. They just this or just that." But I love my family. Now, they can get on your nerves, but I love my family, and there are things that I accept and some things that I don't accept. But it's not going to stop me from loving and um, still. What is that word? I'm still going to say that you're my family. I'm not going to disown you. I'm not going to disown you. I'm going to still love you. But that's basically, what we're going to talk about today. Live out loud, family, and accepting. And I just love my family. What about you, Tasha?
I mean, I love my family too. And I just want to just stay. I'm going to jump right into it because this is something that we have been going back and forth with in a good way this past weekend. So, Vision, we know her as Vernine. However, She is going by Vision on social media platforms, TikTok, IG, Facebook. And she came out, and if anybody doesn't know, she is my sister. She is my blood sister. We both have the same mother and father. And her life is so much of an inspiration to me because, for one, she has definitely been living her life out loud. And I'm happy about that. So, we were just discussing some things, and I know that my purpose here on this earth is to encourage, inspire, impact, and influence individuals that God allowed me to come in contact with. And so I love to encourage people, and I love to just inspire people to the point where they are trying things that they never tried before. So, Vision Writer, she is trying things that she never tried before. So, she started doing reels, and she wants to talk about the topic of the LGBTQ community. And so, we had our first negative comment, which is great. I was excited about it. And the comment came from a family member. And so, of course, they spitted out some Bible verses, which is nothing wrong with that. But it seemed like to me that individual was pointing fingers. And so I realized that I said, you know what? I'm glad that we're having this conversation. I'm glad that you have your opinion. I'm glad that I have my opinion, and that we are able to have this open conversation because it is an open conversation to express yourself. And so they did express themselves. And I shared with Vision, I said, listen, I said, there are going to be people in our family that may comment, some may not comment publicly, but they definitely will comment privately, which is okay too, because I believe that they are still in a place where they don't understand your choice, your life. And at one point, I did not understand it, but now I do. But I've never been embarrassed or, ashamed of my sister in her life and what she's chosen. Never been embarrassed by that. I love my sister. My sister is funny. She's very talented and gifted. And there are a lot of things that I'm praying that I know is going to come to pass, that she wants to come to pass, which is her life, her story, her books that God has given to her to write about her life, and just the creativity that she has. But this is my point that I want to come to. I want to come to the point of the fact that people don't like to address this because of the sensitivity of the conversation, of the topic, because she is a lesbian. She married her best friend, whom is a female. And i'm I'm glad they got married. Lord, they've been together forever, long as my daughter's been living, and my daughter be 28 this year. So at first I didn't agree with it because of how I was
Yeah,
raised.
yeah.
And we were raised by a mother that is a woman of God, a powerful woman of God, and a father who is no longer here with us. He's deceased, but he was a pastor. Now our biological father, he's still living, but he don't even know he's on this earth. He just don't. And so he never had a relationship with us, so he don't know us as who we are now. And I'm just grateful that she and I have a relationship, been through some ups and downs. But this is my thing. Why can't we just accept the fact that when a person, a loved one, chooses to live their life a certain way, why we just can't accept them for them? And as Spirit Love said, there's a lot of things that she don't accept from her family members, but she still loves them unconditionally. She still loves them. But there's a problem with people in general and family, people, period, that will just point the fingers at someone because they are living a life that seems abnormal to them. So why we just can't love them and not point fingers? That's my question. That's what I've been thinking about today.
Well, I think that a lot of I think a lot of problems come from um I don't want to I hate like bashing the church. I don't want to bash the church because I love going to church, right? But I think the thing is that we see sin in different ways, right? We have levels. Sometimes I think the church have levels of sin, and people in general have levels of sin, and it's not there's not such thing of a level of sin, right? That sin is sin regardless, sin sin, regardless of what it is, right? And I don't think that we don't hold love, uh we don't truly, I don't think we truly know how to love people. And that's why I started out with how much I love my family, right? I think that if you have your opinion on things, right? Everybody have their opinions on different things in the Bible, right? And different ways that people live. But I think that that's your opinion that you hold on to, right? But the love is still there. I don't think that no one should stop people from their opinions, right? But I don't think that the opinions, excuse me, the opinions should outweigh the love that you have for your family members. Accepting, accepting and loving, I just do believe that it's two separate things, right? Now, I can love you to no ends and not accept what you're doing, right? And okay, let me back up first too. Now, my love is uh how I want to say this. Now, me and my husband fall out a lot about this, but my love is like open. That I don't care who you are, I don't care what you do, how you live your life, or whatever, right? I'm gonna love you to no ends. That's how I am, right? And I view the Bible in different ways than what some people, view the Bible when they start pulling out, sin and condemning people and stuff like that. I view it in a totally different way. So let me say this, and then let me go back to what I was saying. Now, you can have your opinion on anything, right? But I don't think that it should stop you from loving. And I don't think that you should bash people for what they believe and how they're living their life, because you don't have to live with them. You don't have to be there with them. You don't have to be there every day with them and all that stuff, right? But the love is what counts. The love has to be there if you're going to live a life of Christ, right? That the love has to be there. If it's not there, then you are a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite on who you should be serving, right? Because God is love, right? He's love. We if we're going to serve a loving God, we have to be loving servants, as though with God. So when we talk about things like this, and I know this is really big, in this United States of America right now, and in different countries also, when it come down to the LGBTQ community, and on. I can't remember all of the other letters, but when it comes to this conversation, it just seemed like we have such a big negative thing about it, and not considering the person as a
Right.
whole, but considering the name, right? I don't think that we should just consider the names, and what you title yourself as being. I think you should just consider the person as a whole, right? And that's what I do. I consider the
Yeah.
person. I don't put a name too much on people, because I don't I don't want you to put one on me, right? I don't want you to say, well, Diane is this and Diane is that. Just try to put me in that category. I don't want you to do that. I want you to take me as my humanity and my humanness, right? And judge me on that. Don't judge me on that name. Like, for an example, when we went to Delaware this weekend, and they wanted to say, they asked me the question, so what title do you want to go by? And my name is Diane. I don't want to go by a title. I just want you to know me as Diane, because when you start putting titles on me, you're going to be expecting so much from me that I might not be able to
Mhm.
give you. I might not be able to give you all that stuff, but as Diane, I'm going to be able to give you all of Diane that I can give you. But when you start putting that title on me, I might not be able to mount up, to that title. So when I say that about the titles, I don't mean you could be whoever you want to be, right? But I don't think that it should be in that form that you're judging me because of my lifestyle and you putting a title on that lifestyle.
Hmm.
No, just call me who I am, right? My name, right? And
Right.
and judge me as as this person that God made me, right? He made
Right.
me, and when He made me, He already knew who I was gonna be. What I was gonna do, my lifestyle. He knew all of those things, but He still decided to make me. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't when it come down to the community, I don't care what you call. I don't really care what you call yourself, but I'm not gonna do that because I want to judge you. I don't not judge. I'm sorry. I want to see you as who you are.
Right.
And when you start putting names on people, then you got people starting coming around, your corner. Then you get mad. Then you get mad because now you judging my friend, my sister, my brother, my just my somebody that I just love to no end because of this Tyler that society want to throw on you, and then put negative, words on it, negative things on it, and then throw the Bible in there with it, right? And I just
Yeah, that
don't.
don't work.
I don't. It don't work with me.
Hmm.
I just believe that God, like I said earlier, when God made us, He already knew who we were gonna be, right? And He still loved us just that much, and actually placed us in somebody's womb, our mother's womb, some mother. We didn't know who we were gonna be child to, right? But He decided to do that, right? And once He decided to do that, He consider us as His child.
Right.
you know so i don't
Yeah.
i don't i don't like I just don't like the titles. I mean, I respect them. I most definitely respect, the titles that they give themselves, but I don't want to do that. I want to love you for who God made you. He
Right.
for who He made you. Because again, like I say, when you start putting those names on it, then you get all this negative stuff. Then you want to fight somebody because you're talking about you talking about somebody that I love, and I'm including for my family to my friends that may not be blood to me, but they're my family, right? And
Right.
you're criticizing them, and you putting this negative thing and want to kill them, or want to hurt them in some kind of way, right? And I'm gonna come to the defense because I love you. For that person, not for this title that you didn't put on me, but this person that God made, and the
Right.
love should be there. But I don't think we're looking at this thing as a God thing, as what would God do?
No, we're not. And the one thing, as you were talking, and you said, you made a statement earlier that your love is open. I believe now that my love is open as well, and I believe it started when I met my husband. And he, I told the story before, but it's etched in my heart. And also when I met the atheists, that made me even more open to love people and not look at them for what they've chosen, for how they live, for what they look
Yeah,
like. I'm very intentional now every day to live my life like that. And I feel myself loving people, I mean, literally unconditionally. And I used to be a selfish person. A lot of people probably saying, "What? Not you?" Yes, me. I was a selfish person. And so the one thing that bothers me about the church, and I'm not a person to bash the church, I'm not a person to bash anybody, but there are things that I have stood by and watched for years, and I have not said anything about it because I felt like I didn't have a voice to express those things. And because I also felt that people would not listen. And plus, and another thing, I didn't want to hear the negativity from it because I didn't want to respond, you know, to how they responded to me. But now that I'm matured some more, I can express myself the way that I need to. But the one thing that bothers me about the church is the fact that people look at people They look at the sin more than they look at the person. They look at what is not normal more than they look at the person. They don't look at the person's heart. They're not trying to get to know who the person is. They're not trying to get to know what the person's interests are. They're not trying to get to know what their heart is like. They're not trying to get to know any of that because what they don't like is blocking their view.
Mm-hmm.
What they don't like about that person, I'm going to say that again. What they don't like about that person is blocking their view of really truly getting to know them. So they would rather look at the negative part of that person versus looking at, the real true individual. And the reason why I say that is because Vision and I had a live. We did an impromptu live last week. You know, our concerns, and we just was sharing with one another, and we was having a conversation, and I was asking her questions, about the community, and she was just telling me the things that she's learned, since living this, living her life the way that she is living her life, which is wonderful. And I'm learning through her to learn her and get to know her for her. I'm not looking at the fact that she is a lesbian. I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at the fact that she is my sister and I love her. And we laugh and we joke, and we, just like siblings do, they have their rifts, they have their ups and their downs. And so, but what is different than, a person that's, okay, let's take this for an example. It's a whole bunch of folk, females, that have, you know, did the stripping thing. I'm just saying. They go to church too. Women that sleep around, they go to church too. Men that sleep around, they go to church too. But guess what? We don't look at them like we look at people that live that has chosen to live a life, in the LGBTQ community. We don't look at them like that, like we do the LGBTQ community. Would you agree to that? That the church don't look at folks like that? They look at them different,
Well,
and it shouldn't
but
be.
the difference, there is a difference between, there is a difference between that. But but
What's
again,
the difference? I want to
the
know.
difference between that is lifestyles, right? Okay, if a man decides to do what they're gonna do, right, sleep with all women and all that stuff, they're still a man, right? If a woman decides to strip, dance on the pole, but they say that's a good exercise, I've been thinking about doing that. If they decide to you know do stuff like that, they're still a woman, right? But in the LGBTQ community, there are men being deciding to be women, and women deciding to be men and stuff. So there's a difference in between that. But I, my the thing is that it should not matter, because for one thing,
Right,
we can't, the what the word of God says, okay, because we church, see, I can't help but to say anything about the Bible, okay. But what the word of God says is that for us to go out, and make sure that everybody know about Jesus, right? But I love this verse, and I don't know how other people interpret this verse, but I interpret it as, God doing a new thing. I'm talking about in Isaiah 43, when it says, that for us to forget about, the things that forgot.
the
For us
former
not to
things.
forget about those things that I did. I'm just, in other words, I just feel like he was repenting. He was saying he was sorry for doing all of the killing and all that stuff to the people when they wouldn't obey him and all that stuff. Forget about that, because I want to do something for you. I want to do something else for you that's going to help you to to get to me, in other words, right? Because what was being done before just was not working. It just was not working. I don't care how bad I chastise you and boom and all that stuff. It was just not working. So what I want to do, I want to do something new for you, right? I'm going to do a new thing. And then, it said in there, haven't you already heard it? Haven't you already seen this thing, right? And the new thing is Jesus, right? And when we talk about Jesus, and the things when he came on the scene, right, and the things that he did, in our life, it wasn't all of that old stuff, right? It was more of a loving and compassion, towards his people, right? Knowing all along that we are not perfect people, right? We're just not perfect people. So grace and mercy, is in there. People always say, you can exhort, uh you can do so many things and expect for grace or mercy to abound, and then it's eventually it's going to run out. But the word of God tells us that that grace is sufficient. And what does sufficient mean? It's plentiful, right? And mercies are new, every morning to us. So regardless of, and this is what I wish that the our Christians and our church would start thinking about, that regardless of what the sin is, right? Is that grace and mercy is here, right? Jesus came, right? And that whatever we think that's not of God or anything like that, that grace, grace abides and mercy, is new, right? So it's not our job to try to make somebody what we want them to be. I guess that's what I want to say. It's not our job to do that. Our job is to teach, right? Teach the word, and regardless of what the sin is, the word should do the work. When Donna Lawrence made that song, I thought it was so, I just felt it, that's a great song, because we always try to do the work, right? Like I was trying to change people and make them do this and make them do that. Change your
Mm-hmm.
life, you live in a sinful life, forgetting about what their life was like, and all that stuff, right? And we're always trying to do that, right? Instead of teaching the word and letting the word do the work. The word of God says that the word will do what it needs to do before it go forward. It will not go forward. The word will always stand, right? So if you're preaching the word and you're doing what you should do in the word, this new thing that God sent us will begin to work. So I don't think just because and the church is always going to be something going on in the church, right? It's always going to be something. It ain't going to be, I don't care what church you go to, I don't care what you try to do, there's always going to be things going on in the church, right? With sin and stuff, right? So why not just, instead of trying to pinpoint things, like pull things out like they always do. And the main thing that they pull out is the LGBTQ community, right? They
Yeah.
always want to talk about the LGBTQ community. And you know what? Really and truly, I'm just going to be honest with you, I'm sick of it. I am truly sick of it, because we're not getting we're not getting the word that we should be getting, the teaching that we should be getting, because we're so worried about a community of people that they have separated from everybody else, right? Not understanding again that we all, now I'm gonna tell you about that hymn again. Everybody want to sing this song and think they going and stuff, but I don't know. I just don't know about it. We always want to sing that song and we all get to heaven. What a day of rejoicing that will be. When we all see Jesus, we're going to sing and shout the victory. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't really believe you know what you're singing about, because when it says when we all, that's all of us, regardless of what, I don't. I think that we need to study and see what are we going to be judged on. We know because we can't do it. These people down here can't do it. Ain't none of us can do that, right? You can't be doing that.
Nope.
God is the only one that's going to be doing that. And we don't know his ways. We don't know anything. We don't know his thoughts. We don't know how he's thinking, anything like that, right? So I think that we're thinking so much on the wrong thing, right? And I think what we should be teaching is the word, and then let it fall where it may. That's why the word of God says that when the seed, the sower, when the sower, was throwing the word. I'm just going to say the word. They say the seeds. But when they was throwing the word, around, and some of it fell on stony ground, some of it fell in weeds and was choked up, and some didn't even root and all that stuff. But then some of it, fell on good ground and was rooted up. Right? That is the word of God. When we send the word out, regardless of who's out there, somebody gonna grab a hold to the word, and God gonna work with them, right? And they're gonna do God is gonna do with them what needs to be done, right? It's not our job. That's not our job.
Mm. Well,
That's why I say that we're stuck on this. We're stuck in this community so hard, and we need to join in. You know what? That should have been the first thing I said. We just need to join in and begin to love people, right? And still preach the word, right? Still preach the word. You teach the word, but we gotta love people. I don't, and this is just my opinion. I don't think the word of God is going to touch unless love come out with it. Is that you think?
I agree with that because I'm sitting here thinking as you were talking, I'm like, it would be amazing if and I'm not going to say the church because I ain't been in months, so I'm probably not allowed to even say that word since I ain't been. um,
Girl, you better put your
but
toe in there. At least put your toe in the door, okay?
look, with
Put
all
your
this
toe in the
foolishness
door.
going around, I don't want to go to nobody's church. No, thank you. So I just believe that a lot of people would, if we would just be intentional about loving people, just be intentional. And I'm gonna share this with you. The prayers that, and God gave me this revelation years ago. The prayers that you have prayed years ago, the answers are probably just now being manifested.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm not saying leave prayer all the way out, but
Mm-mm.
if we be intentional with focusing on loving people unconditionally, loving our families unconditionally,
Mhm.
loving strangers unconditional, loving anybody that God brings in our path unconditional, it'll be amazed. We will be amazed by what could happen. Because the prayers that you prayed a long time ago, they're just starting to manifest and they're going to keep going. That's the one thing that I know that's going to outlive all of us is our prayers. Because they're going to keep going. It's going to keep growing. It's going to keep growing. So
I
that's
thought
my
you was gonna
goal.
say love is gonna outweigh all of us. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, look, if we love right, I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sure it will about it. Somebody look. I'm gonna tell you right now. I used to be that person, cause my husband would tell you. He ain't for social media like that. He old school, but he'll tell you when we first met, and I was looking at him like this, like, shit, cause I just knew I needed to be with a godly man. I just knew that was my cup of tea. Yes, but no, thank you. No, thank you.
Well,
Been there, done that, don't want that. Sorry, but I just don't. Cause it just put a bad taste in my mouth. Put a bad taste in my mouth. So I'm just at a place now. I want to I'm working on myself with intentionally loving people, regardless of what has happened. Just intentional about loving people. Just loving people.
you keep saying that the when I went to Delaware, that's what the pastor talked about. Intentional. God is an intentional God, right? And I think that you're
Mm-hmm.
right that we should be that. Also when it come to people, because I was thinking that I was thinking that I hate talking about the church all the time, but I guess because we go and we want. I guess because I go, and I want people to be. I don't want them to come to church and always be. all the darts be thrown at you all the time, right? I think that there's
Yeah.
a way that you can. Prime example, when I go to my when before I went back to my husband's church, I'm just going to be honest with y'all. Y'all already knew that the last 4 years. Before I went back to my husband's church, I was going to my mother's church, uh, Reverend Vernell Lies, Emmanuel Memorial Missionary Baptist Church on Albemarle Road. Just giving you a shout out there. Um, when I went there, I never heard a negative sermon from her, nor her associate pastor, which was Reverend Kevin Nichols. I never heard a negative sermon, from them, right? It was always the word, but it wasn't like how would I say it? It wasn't like you pulling out individual things and like throwing them at people. You know how you get the sermon
Mm-hmm.
sometimes and you get these
Yeah.
these things and they just throwing it out at you, just throwing it out. And then
Yeah.
you might be doing some of the things, right? And then you just feel like, you're torturing me. And I know that the word's supposed to hit you, right? And begin to
Right.
manifest in you and change you from, things. But
Yeah. Hit you, but not hurt
yeah,
you.
but not hurt you, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I was, that's what I was hearing there. And then my friend I have a friend in Belmont that he do the same thing, right? And even when I was in school and they were doing the professors was doing their many preachings and stuff like that. That's what theirs were like too. It was like I'm teaching you. I'm teaching you the word, of God. And again, like I said earlier, wherever it falls, I'm praying that it fall on fertile ground with you, right? But at this time, it may not do it. It might be a sermon that just stay on your mind, and then eventually you're gonna think about it again, and then it's gonna start tugging at your heart, right? It was preaching, like that. And I think that if we would do more preaching like that, or teaching, more so teaching than preaching, right? That it wouldn't be so harsh, on people. And if you like standing on the edge, right? And you're trying to figure out which way you should go, even with the LGBTQ community, right, which we're talking about, and with it, I'm just going to start saying that with the communities in general, right? And you come in and you just standing on that edge and you just trying to figure out which way, you should go. But then you come in and you hear this sermon, right? And you hear what God has said. And you hear, how, much he loved you and what you can do to turn your life around, right? That you
Right.
would begin to start running. You remember how in church and the pastor used to always say, you come running, you just I yell, I want to be, saved, from this torment that I'm going through, in my life. I'm running, to you, right? It seems like it would be like that when you get that kind, of teaching, that you're not throwing darts at my lifestyle. You're not throwing darts at, what I'm doing, and stuff like that, right? You just giving me the word. You just giving me that true word. And now I understand. I understand. I can see my faults now. I can see them through the word of God, not through your torturing me, but through the word of God.
Right. Well, I believe we still have a long way to go with that. And family and acceptance is something that is not it's not something that can be done overnight,
Oh,
for
no.
sure.
Mm.
It's gonna take a long time, a long, 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 long time. You know what? I'm such, and I don't know when this happened to me, but I'm such a positive and optimistic person. And as you were talking about Reverend Lyles preaching positive sermons, I was thinking about Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, and he is one of my favorite authors. And my favorite book is The Power of Positive Thinking. And he got scripture all through that book. And I've actually heard some of his sermons on YouTube,
Mhm.
and they were positive, all positive. So just imagine. going to a family gathering. There hasn't been a family gathering in a long time, but it's needed. It all comes together. People bringing their dishes. Everybody's excited. And the individuals that have been looked at as black sheep, or because their life is this way, or because their life is that way, because we got some drug dealers in the family. I'm just saying, just speaking in general, there's some
Everybody
drug
got
dealers
some in
in
there.
the family.
Everybody got some.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Look, let me say this: illegal pharmacists in their
Illegal.
family. There are some individuals that are addicted to drugs. There are individuals that are addicted to sex. There are individuals that are hypocrites. There are individuals that are gossipers. There are individuals that are homosexuals. There are individuals that are transgender. But at this gathering, everybody is excited because nobody is looking at the person's life. They're just happy to see you
Mhm.
because they hadn't seen you in a long time. Now, wouldn't that be a
Yeah,
wonderful
I
thing
like that.
that you can just come to this place, even though everybody knows that their life is like this, but nobody's talking about that. People are just genuinely asking you, well, how is it going, Spirit Love? How is it going? I hadn't seen in a while. I've been meaning to jump on the podcast, and I watched a few of your replays. You and TC knows, and y'all be talking about some serious. Now I don't always comment because sometimes I be wanting to just sit back and just listen. What if it was just like that?
You know what? You just described my the last time my family got together out in the country. You just described that. It was like, you come out and you haven't seen people in so long and you just gravitate and hug, right? And it didn't matter, where you were, what you doing. You notice I said what you doing and stuff. It doesn't matter.
Right.
It didn't matter about that. It was just that God ain't seen you in so long. It's just so good, to see you and nothing. And I'm thinking about that as you were talking. I was just thinking about that, and nothing else, transpired negative, in this gathering. And we haven't done that in a while. I hope somebody do it soon. But yeah, that it is possible. It is possible. And how it's possible when you genuinely love people. You have, yeah. Now
Yeah.
again, don't get me wrong now. There are some blackness in there. When I say black spots, I mean there are some black spots in there. And when I say black spots, I mean, like, there's some negative, thoughts and things in there. But
Mm-hmm.
when you get together and you start seeing each other, and you think about how long it's been, it seems like those things just drop off, and
Yeah.
you don't even think about that anymore. One thing is because, when it come down to family, right? And you think about, especially where we gather at is at, the family land that my grandfather brought, right? And then, you look around and then you start seeing people that's not there, and stuff, and it get
Yeah.
totally different. And I'm not saying we have a very colorful family. When I
We
We
do
have a
too.
colorful
God knows we
family,
do.
right? So it's all kind of, everybody doing, different things and have done things, and all that. But I think we should think more of that. Life is short, right? And when
Right.
you said about this family and acceptance, I just start thinking about, how life is so short, and you don't and when you start like pulling out certain things, about people, and then you don't even know if you're going to
Right.
see them tomorrow, right? So think that
Right.
I think that
Right.
you should accept. When I say accept, I mean like in love, because I can't put this on people to make you like what somebody doing.
Right.
But I think you should accept and love, right? All of our family members. And not that you're gonna always get along. You're just not gonna always get along, right? But the
Right.
love is gonna be there, at all times, and I'm gonna have your back. I got your back, right? With that, right? And if they do, and if someone do decides to say, well, um, I've been in the closet for so long, but I feel like that boom, it's time for me to come out. God, so some people already know. You know what I mean? We already know
Right,
that. We're
right.
just glad that you
But
finally came
you
out.
know what, Spirit
you
Love.
know?
But you know what? Even with that, that reminds me of Medea movie. When her I think it was her nephew or
Oh
something.
yeah,
He was graduating from
yes,
college.
yeah. What is it? What was the name of that? Yeah, yeah.
Homecoming. Home was it Homecoming?
I can't remember what it
Something
was.
like that. Medea's Homecoming.
So,
Something. Well, anyway, and so they was getting the food together for the little gathering and stuff, and then he was like, I want to tell y'all something, and they're looking at him like, child, we already knew that. What is you talking about? I mean, I thought you was gonna tell us
yeah,
something.
and basically,
Like,
you do, like, I'm just gonna go back
yeah,
to that little evaluation thing that I was doing, and one of the gifts was perceiver, right? And I always felt
yeah,
like that. I was like that, right? And when somebody tell me, certain things, in the back of my mind, I don't. In the back of my mind, I be saying, I already knew that, right? But I don't want to. I don't want to always just come out and say, oh, I already knew that. But sometimes facial expressions,
right,
will tell you that, right? But I think that when it do happen, the worst thing that family members can do when somebody come out, as in the community, or just saying things in general, about themselves that people, the family members didn't think, the person didn't think family members knew. The worst thing that you could do is come out with a negative remark. That's the worst thing that
right,
you can do to a family member, is come out with a negative remark, because you don't know what it took for that individual to come out and express to you, what they had
that's
to
right,
say. So I think in all ways, when someone come out, to you in any community, anything that needs to be said, is that you need to always come out with a, if you don't have nothing good to say, just don't say nothing at all, or just an embrace, and just
right.
leave it at that, and keep your comments to yourself, because you don't have to deal with what this individual is going through, right? You just, they came out to you because they needed a support system. You need a support system. So either
Right,
be the support system, or just move away. You know what? Just move
right.
away.
Not only that, but I'm gonna tell you one thing that would definitely bring a lot of healing to families that have been divided because people cannot do this one simple thing. Y'all want me to tell y'all what it is?
Tell me what it is. What is it?
People don't know how to mind their
That
business.
too. Well, that too.
Now, if you mind your business, if you don't bring up no comments, if you don't say nothing, you just keep your mouth closed, just listen. A lot of division in families.
Yeah. But you know what though, Tasha? Sometimes I'm gonna go back, because I don't want to leave out. I don't want to leave out parents to underage children, right? You don't know
Yeah.
what you're gonna. I'm gonna be honest with you. You don't know what you're gonna do or say when it comes to your children. That's why I always tell my when I was having my kids and stuff, I would always have in my mind, it would just be stuck in there, that I don't know what my children gonna do. I don't know who they're gonna be, or anything like that. So my main thing is that I'm gonna shower them with love, right? So when it
Mm-hmm.
do come, I know how to handle it, right? I know how
Right.
to, confront them, and be their support system, right? And I think
Yeah.
that a lot of times people say that you don't have a book, to read to learn how to, raise your kids, and stuff. But I think one of the most important things, in raising your children, and getting information, from them, because your children can say just about anything, right? And getting information from them that you're not pleased with, is to always have in your mind that, um, I'm going to support my child regardless of what come out of their mouths, right? When it comes
Right.
down to who they are, and how they decide, to live their life. Because I have seen so many of our young people commit suicide because their parents chose the negative side
Yeah.
of their of who they say they are, and what they decide to do, in their life. They took the negative side of it instead of taking the in between. I'm not saying for you to even choose which side, to the negative side, a positive side. I'm saying that to be in the middle until you get your bearings together. And like I say, we don't have books
Right.
on, how we to raise our kids, and I was like, it just come, day by day, on what you do with your kids. But I think that a lot of parents should pull back sometimes, when the kids tell them things, and just go in the middle for right now. Just okay, if your child come and tell you that, you know your male son come and say that I'm attracted to male, or your daughters, say they're attracted to women, just stay in the middle for a little bit, right? Until you get yourself together and stuff, and then come back, to the children. But I think we react too quickly, on our children when they're talking to us, and on our, not only our younger kids, but our older kids also, that we react too quickly instead of just sitting back, taking a breath, you know, and inhale and exhale, and just calm yourself. I think that relationships with our children would be much better if we
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
that. It's just my opinion, guys. That's just my opinion.
Hey,
That I think
I
that
agree.
we would be better off if we would just pull back instead of saying, "You're not gonna do it. This is not the life that what? You really
Yeah.
can't. And the way our children are now, they'll just get up and leave. And that's not, you
Right.
don't want to put your
Like,
children,
peace out. We ain't got time for this. They're like, I
yeah,
don't want to hear that.
they'll leave, and you don't want to
Yeah.
push them out to the wolves, right? You want to make sure that you
Right.
you stay in that area, that you can always have that conversation, with them. And that's one thing that I value so much, with my boys, is that I have always been able to have conversation, like that with them. And I think that I was able to do that because that was one thing that I talked to my mother about, that I wish that we had more conversations about life,
Yeah.
in
Me
general,
too.
right?
Me too.
If we could have had that, I would have been fine, with it. But that was one thing, in growing up, that we didn't our parents didn't talk about, certain things with the kids. But I promise God that when I had kids, that would be one thing that I would talk to them about, everything, any and everything. So,
Yeah.
and allow them to come to me and say, whatever they was going through, and just say whatever they needed to say. Some things, I was thinking, and especially one of my children, when they would come, I would just say, God, what in the world did I do? What did I say? What in the world, can I take this? So, but I think that we should do that, with our kids. And I think family would be able to merge more together, and the love would stay there if we
Yeah.
would be more. And I know that some people say, well, I'm the parent, I should be making the rules. No, that's not true anymore. That is not true anymore.
No,
You need
man.
to have more conversations, with your children. I was just telling my youngest son that the other day. I was asking him, I said, do you talk to, do you have conversations with your baby and stuff? And he said, yeah, mom, I talk to him. I'm saying, I'm not saying just because you coming home from school and you talking about schoolwork. I'm talking about talk to him in general, about, as a whole, about things. And he said, you talking about like you used to do? He said, oh, mom, is it time? I said, yes, it's time. Because kids are not like I was, nor are they like you were when you were coming up. Every generation change.
Yeah, but you know what? Spirit love, and I'm gonna make this short because I know we getting close to our hour being up. But I just want to say that you're right about that, because with my children, I think about how it was when I told my mama. Well, I didn't tell her. She actually was trying to get me to say it, and I lied. But this is how she did it. She took me and my daughter's father to out to lunch. This is when you remember Morrison's cafeteria?
Girl, they had some good
Woo,
food. Listen, girl, we talking about girl. They had some good food, and they
woo,
tried to come out again at our hospital. And their food don't taste nothing like it used to.
nothing. Cause see, back in the day. But anyway, we ain't gonna go there. Cause woo. So she took us to Morrison's cafeteria, and she asked us. She talked to us, and we sitting there looking at each other like, oh, sugar honey. And we lied. Now, if I hadn't lied, then I don't believe I would have had destiny. But the reason why I lied is because my mom and I did not have conversations like that because we just didn't have them. So now with my children, we talk and I talk to them because they know I'm nasty. They just know I'm nasty. But anyway, I talk to them and I be like, look, I've been there, I've done that. Don't hide anything from me. Y'all can come and talk to me. I want to do it differently. I want y'all to be able to come and talk to me and tell me these things because I don't want something, to happen to where you get in, some mess and you can't get out of it. So I
Mm.
get what you're saying about, you know, parents not talking to you growing up. You know, I don't know why they didn't talk to us. Maybe they felt like we couldn't handle it, or maybe they felt like we wasn't mature enough. I
No,
don't know.
it's a generational thing. Their
Yeah,
parents didn't talk to them, and the parents,
right.
my grandparents' parents didn't talk to them. So it was like a
Yeah,
generational thing, and we had to break
yeah,
uh, that generational curse. I'm
right.
just going to say that and begin to do things differently.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's what I'm working on now. But as far as family and acceptance, and this still goes along a line this topic, because when your children come to you, like you said, don't give them a negative remark. Listen to them, what they have to say, and think about the fact that you was once a child, adolescent,
yeah.
teenager, young adult. You was once there too, and honey, let me tell you, I've done some stuff. I done some stuff. So when they tell me certain things, or when my daughter discuss certain things with me, and I just look at it and I'm like, well, why you didn't tell me this in the beginning? Because I didn't know how you was gonna react, Mom. I said, well, I fooled you, didn't I? I said, you gotta remember, I've been there, I've done that, I've already been through that. You know, I'm like, look, I got two children by two different men, and ain't married neither one of them. So why you feel like, and I tell my children, why you feel like you can't talk to me. So now they're saying that I'm more understanding.
Yeah, I think our kids sometimes I think they can't see us as being children also. We
Right.
were children also, right?
Yeah.
And that we did things because I found that that's why, and this is family and accepting. And I found that my boys did a lot of things that I did, when I was coming up, even though I'm a woman and they guys, but they did a lot of things, that I did,
I can't believe that, spirit love. I can't believe it.
even, even though no, let me back up, and that is why I am so glad that I was open with them, because if not, it would not have the generation of curse thing would not have been able to be broken, because that was
Mm-hmm.
one of my main things, in the family system, is that I didn't want any of my kids to be teenage fathers or my grandkids to be teenage parents, and my children were not, because I opened that conversation line. My grandchildren, so far, they're not, because that generational thing has been broken. And even with loving people, right? It's not a my the boys, they accept everybody. They just loving, individuals. And my grandkids, they're falling in that same, situation. And I mean, that same caring
Mm-hmm.
person self, right? And those were the things that my grandparents taught me about love, right? And I wanted to make sure that my kids did the same thing. And even my husband and I, when we was living in Raleigh, we make sure of that always. Also, that my kids were around all groups of people, all communities, of people, so they know. They know the LGBT community, they know the different race communities and all of that, and they love people, right? So it's not like you can't teach and show love, right, of
Right.
all people, right, and make it a generational thing. You can do that, but when you started out with hatred and uh bickery and all that, that's not
Bigotry.
bigotry. Why did I get bigotry? Big and all that stuff, right? When you have all of that stuff in, then it's just gonna, have a domino effect down through the family, down through generation. But when you have something different, or even if you didn't have it, you could begin to teach it and just make it go down through, your family. So this is not something that can't be solved, right? You can solve situations in your family when it come down to accepting individuals. You could just start teaching what love means. Just start
That's
teaching love
right.
instead of hatred, to
Right.
the individuals. So Tasha, this was a really good. It made me really think when you was talking about this topic that today. That's why I sent back with you. Like what? What are we got to talk about? But then when I started thinking about it, it is really something that needs to be talked about, not only in the family. It need to be talked about as a whole, with this doggone world, because this world have so much hatred,
Yeah.
in it, and so much killing the people that they don't like. If you don't like them, look the other way. I feel like this: if you don't like the way somebody's life, they're living their lifestyle, just go the other way. You don't have to live the lifestyle. They're the ones that's living their lives like it's golden, right? You the one that have all of the hatred in you. So you just go your separate way and leave people alone. That's the way I feel about it. But you always, what did you call it? uh your nose is all the way always up in somebody else's business
Yeah.
instead of handling your own business, not knowing that in your family you got something going on over there too, that you're gonna have to handle eventually, and we want to know how you
Right.
handle it,
Right.
and
Exactly.
stuff. So we're gonna have to learn how to, if we don't like something, just leave it alone, and
Right.
leave people alone, and then, just move on. But try your best, to love, just love people. It don't hurt to love. That's what I say about okay, let me, before I leave, I want to read this here. I want to read something out of my poetry book about grace. I think I read it before. And I really love this one right here because it's about grace, right? It says, grace is one of the most effortless thing one can offer. There is no money involved, no physical gesture required, not even a tangible exchange. Surprisingly, there may be no eye contact. Thank yous can be lost in space. The offer will never decrease in worth because grace is refined from all the impurities. Just offer a little bit of grace. You don't even have to look at the individual to offer grace to them, because grace can be you just walk the opposite direction and
That's
leave
right.
them alone. And that and it never decrease in you doing that when you see someone, because eventually you're going to start thinking about that thing, and you're going to go to that individual and probably apologize to them, or either just start going in conversation with them. Sometimes you just need to have a conversation with individuals to see exactly what they're going through and why they're going through what they're
Right.
going through, because everybody don't know their stories.
That's
You
right.
need to know individual stories before you start condemning people.
Oh, come
Mhm.
on here. And with that being said, if there's anything that you can take from this live when you're watching the replay, so thank you to everybody that's here now. Thank you to everybody that's going to watch the replay. But if there's anything that you can take from watching this and hearing the conversation, I would say it would be to love intentionally. When you love the person intentionally, do not look at their life and what they're chosen, how they're living. Just look at them for who they are so you can get to know who they are.
Yeah.
Also, mind your business. If you mind your business, you won't have to worry about theirs. Don't volunteer any information. And I'm talking to the ones that their life is not, their life doesn't look favorable to the other family members. Don't volunteer no information to them, because you don't have to explain nothing to nobody.
So that's true. Okay, I want to do a shout out again. Guys, go on Amazon and get my book. I'm gonna have to learn how to turn this thing around so the words will be seen the right way. Self Sudden Epiphanies Life Forge, Diane Stewart. It's on Amazon. Guys, go out and support me on my book. And I'm gonna have another book coming out April, the end of April, called Women's Journeys Through Life's Happenings. Those are the stories of the women. Natasha is one of the persons that's in this book, and it's going to be about, I started out with 12 women, but it looked like I'm going to have about 20 ladies and have their different stories in here. Guys, you would want to read this book. I'm going to make sure that I keep advertising this. There's some stories in this book that you are going to just be like, oh, I'm going through the same thing. Now I know how to get out of it. Yeah, a lot of people. I want Neen to do a little, if you out there, Neen, you can do a little insert for me also. 60 to 750 words. I'm calling you out, okay? Uh, that's all I need. Just give me 600 to 750 words, girl. But guys, I will most definitely come back out and let you know about the book and how it's going. But please, please, please support me in my poetry book. And I have another one of those coming out this summer, volume 2 stuff. So, guys, I love you. And there's nothing that you could do about it but love me back. And I thank you guys for coming out and listening to us. And I pray that, you got something, out of what we said today about love. Basically, is what we talked about: love, family acceptance, accepting our family members and our outside communities for who they are. And just shower them with love. Just shower them with love. All right.
Absolutely. Well, y'all look, y'all know who this is. Y'all know this is Tasha, aka TC Knows. No, I do not know everything, but I just love sharing with you what I do know. And I just want to just give a shout out. Of course, if you are on YouTube, go to my YouTube channel, which is at one TC Knows. Go to you can follow me on IG, which is Tasha.TC Knows, and TikTok TC Knows, and then of course Facebook Tasha TC Knows. Follow me there because boy, I got some interesting things on there that y'all need to go check out. And also, I have this design that I did do. It's a black sheep design. I don't have my sweatshirt on today. I thought I would, put on unapologetic today.
I'm
Don't
not
give me
saying
no
nothing. I'm not
hard
saying
time.
anything. I'm not saying anything. She took my word, y'all, and just used it. Oh, it just came out.
Look,
It just came
see,
out. I
that's
don't
how
know.
I look.
It just
I
came
got
out.
something for you. I
It just
got something
came
for you.
out.
I got something for
And then
you.
also put Neen out. Put her page
Yes.
out there.
So also Vernine, also known as Vision Writer on IG and TikTok and Facebook. She is known as Vernine Henderson. I'm not sure if she changed it to Vision Writer yet, but she is talking about the LGBT community and just helping family members to understand what they go through when families treat them differently then they should be treated. And they're not being treated with love. Her content is phenomenal. She actually put out a reel today. So I will encourage you to go look at it on TikTok and IG. Also, too, prayers going out to the families in Mississippi because of the tornado that swept through there. And 25 people, I believe, perished in that. Also, the shooting that was breaking news today in Nashville, I believe it
Mhm.
was. A young lady, 28 years old. She is actually she had to be taken down, but I believe 7 people perished also there, including I believe it was 3 children, maybe 3 or 4 children. So we want to, just lift them up in prayer because that was a tragic moment that should have never happened. And now both families are, the families of the individuals that passed away and then the individual that committed this crime, that her family is suffering also because they no longer have her here. But that's a sad moment today of what happened. So I just wanted to just bring that up and share that But thank y'all so much for being here. Thank you so much for being on here. Share, share, share this live. We probably be going to be doing some more revamping because I know it's some more topics that we are going to be talking about, and we love to hear your comments, and questions. If you have any questions or any topics that y'all want us to discuss that we have not discussed, let us know in the spirit group. We love you. I
All right.
love you.
And guys, when you go out and you look at these TikTok and IG, and you said
Mm-hmm.
it's called Vision.
Vision Writer. It's V, the number one, ZON. No, V. I need to spell it right. She spells it differently. Let me look at it right
Okay.
now.
Well, while she's looking at it, it's all right to go out and listen to the live, even if you don't agree with it. Then you give your opinions and find more information, because sometimes we just don't understand things, right? So go out
That's
and
right.
support her and get all of the information you can, then make your opinion, because you hear so many things that's not true, and you run with it and you make it your thing, also your opinion on things. So the best thing to do is get your own opinion on things. But when
Right.
you hear it from somebody that's actually in the community, then you would have a better understanding of what the individual is going through. And I believe that she's going to be honest, and you're going to see reasons, that you never thought, of why some
Mm-hmm.
people are in the community. And I think sometimes people just think they're doing it because they just want to do it, right? But you got to see all sides of it. Don't just say, that's just something, that they saw on this or they did this. And no, sometimes there's some reasons behind it. And I pray that she be able to have the courage and get the strength to tell the full truth, so people can start viewing that community in a totally different way. Okay. All righty. Did you
That's
get
right.
it?
Yes, I put it down in the comment section
Okay.
of in the group.
In the group. Okay. All righty.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, all right, guys. Love you. And again, there's nothing you can do about it but love me back, because you're not going to deter me from loving. Okay. So thank you so very much for coming out and being with us tonight, guys. Please share, share, share. Somebody needs to hear what we talked about tonight. And it's a combination of all. It's a combination of secular and the Christian community. So you
Yes, it
can't
is.
say that you didn't get a combination of both, right? Because we do both. We do secular and, the Christian community, because we can't get rid of our root. And I praise God for the root that we have, that it has not departed from us. Okay. All right. Thank
Yes.
you, Tasha.
Love you. Mean it. Later.
All righty.